So in today's class, we are going to start with different input output functions in C. Okay. So we have already learned several input output functions like printf and scanf, right? And in the character domain, we have also learned functions like getChar and putChar, right? So getChar takes a character from the input terminal and putChar puts a character or prints a character to the output terminal. Right? And corresponding to file, the corresponding functions are getC and puts. GetC reads a character from a file, putsC prints a character to the file, right? But getC and putsC works in character domain, right? But suppose you want to read something from a file in integer or floating point format, then you cannot use getC and putsC. You need to use the function fprintf and fscanf. Okay. Suppose you want to read something from a file in integer format or double format, or if you want to write something to a file in integer format or double format, then you need to use fprintf and fscanf, right? All right. So we have already learned printf, scanf. We have already learned getChar and putChar, and we have already learned getC and putsC in the context of file. So in this class, let's talk about fprintf and fscanf. All right. How can I print something to a file, or how can I read something from a file in different formats? Okay. Let's okay. Let's open a file input output.c. Okay. So suppose I want to write some employee details in an employee database. Okay. So suppose there is a file called employee details.txt file. I want to take the employee details from the user, and then I'm going to write it or print it to that corresponding file. Okay. All right. So let's begin with an employee structure. In the last class we have learned structure. So let's begin with employee structure. So struct employee, and suppose it has two structure members, ID and name. So let's declare an employee variable, say E. And now I'm going to open a file called employee details.txt in a write format, okay, or in a write mode, where I'm going to write the employee details. Okay. So let's open a file employee details.text in a write mode. And now suppose I want to enter the ID and name of 5 employees. Okay, so let's run a loop that is going to iterate 5 times, and in every iteration it is going to take the ID and name of a particular employee from the user. Okay. So I'm going to use scanf. It is going to ask the user to enter the employee details, enter ID and then it is going to scan the ID and %e.id, and then it is going to scan the name as well, and then it is going to print these details in the employee details.txt file. Okay, so here we are going to use the fprintf function. All right, so the syntax of fprintf is the following. First you need to pass the file pointer. Next you need to pass the format that you want to use while printing. Suppose I want to print %d colon, or I want to print the ID colon and then the name of the employee. So e.id and e.name. So if printf takes 3 set of arguments. First one is the file pointer. Next one is the printing format, which consists of the placeholders, and the next set of arguments are the set of variables that you want to print. Correct? And then at the end I am closing the file. Alright. Okay, so let's see whether it is working properly or not. Alright, so there must be a colon. Okay. So enter the employee details. Employee ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Employee name is Amit. Employee ID is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Employee details is employee name is Carol. ID is 5, 6, 7, 4. Name is she. 90123. Name is Jean. And ID is 6789. Name is Jack. Okay, so that's it. I have entered the ID and name of 5 different employees. So let's open the employee details. So now we can see that the employee ID and the corresponding names has been printed in proper format that I have mentioned over here. Okay, so that's the use of fprintf. All right, instead of printing to the output terminal, it prints it to the corresponding file. Clear? So let's do the reverse operation. Okay, that is, I have the employee details files in my current folder. So I have the employee details.txt file in my current folder. So I'm going to read these details and then I'm going to print it in the output. Okay. So let's do this. First, let's comment this out. So now I'm going to open the same file, but at this point in a read mode. Okay. So let's do this. Equal to if open. Now I need to open in read mode. Next, after opening the file, I'm going to read the lines one after other, and then I'm going to print it to the output terminal until unless I reach at the end of the file. Okay, so let's do that. So first, let's read the first line. So for file reading, we are going to use f. I'm going to use the reverse operation of fprintf. Fscanf is going to read the text from the file. All right. So inside fscanf, I need to pass file pointer. Next, the format specifier %d, and then the corresponding variables. %e.id. And after reading the details, I'm going to print it to the output terminal and then go to the next line, read the details, print it to the output terminal. And I will keep doing this till I reach at the end of file. Okay. So while the end of file is not reached, I'm going to print whatever I have read. Print it. And let's use the same format. And then let's read the next line. Okay. And then let's keep doing something unless we reach at the end of file. Okay. So I'm going to read the details of the first line, print it. Move to the next line, read the details, and then print it in the next iteration. And we'll keep doing this till I reach at the end of file. Okay. Whenever it will reach at the end of file, it is going to come out. And at this point, I can close. Let's compile and see whether it is compiling properly or not. So now we can see that all the employee details are printed in the correct format. All the employee details from the employee details.txt file is printed in the output terminal in the correct format. All right. So in this way, we can implement file reading and writing using fprintf and fscanf. Okay. So the next thing that we are going to summarize is different string related functions. Okay, some of them we have already used at this point, but let's summarize quickly. Okay. So let's take a string. Let's put something. Today is Monday. We are learning C. That's it. All right. Okay. So now suppose I want to find out the length of the string. Okay. The length of the string is %t. The corresponding function is string length. We have already used string length before, so let's quickly summarize this. and string length resides in the header file string.h. Okay, so if I run it, okay, so string length is returning in long format. So if I run it, you say that the length of the string is 35. Okay, I'm not counting it, but it is showing as 35. All right. So string length will give the length of the. Okay. Now the next function is say string copy. Suppose you want to copy one string to another string. Okay. So suppose you are declaring one string called string2 that can hold a maximum of 100 characters, and you want to copy string1 to string2. Okay. How can you do so? The corresponding function is string copy. Okay. String copy will take two arguments. First one is the destination string where you want to copy, and the second one is the source string. Okay. So where you want to copy and from which string. Okay. So this string copy is going to copy the content from string 1 to string 2. Okay. So now if I print yes, then you can see that the same string is getting printed. Today is Monday, we are learning C. Okay. So this is about string copy. Now, after copying string 1 to string 2, suppose you want to add more contents on string 2. Okay. Suppose you want to append another sentence in string 2. Okay. So how can you do so? There comes the string concatenation. How can you concatenate two strings, or how can you append one string after another? Okay. So the corresponding function is string cat. Okay. So this will also take two arguments. First one is the string after which you want to append the second string. So suppose I want to add one line, say after string 2 I want to write we having fun. Alright. So this line will be appended at the end of string 2. Okay, so let's see. So today is Monday, we are learning C and we are having fun. Okay. Alright. So this function is called, this function is for concatenating two strings or appending one string after another. Alright. And another function is for string compare. Suppose you want to compare two strings. Okay. So there comes the function called string compare. Okay. So string compare, if you pass two strings, string 1 and string 2, it is going to take the difference between two strings. If they are identical, then the difference is going to be 0. Otherwise, the difference is going to be non-zero. All right. So let's see. So here the string comparison is returning %d string compare string 1 and string 2. Let's see what it is returning. So you can see that at this point string 1 and string 2 are different because I have already appended an additional sentence after string 2. So now string 1 and string 2 are different. That's how string comparison is giving a non-zero number. Okay. If I remove this line, then they are supposed to be identical. So in that case, it is going to return 0. Alright. So by using the string compare function, you can check whether two strings are identical or not. If they're identical, the return value is going to be 0. Otherwise, that return value is going to be non-zero. Clear? Okay, so these are the 4 very useful string related functions. That's how I wanted to summarize quickly. Clear? Okay.